And welcome Stefan Schubert. He is member of Executive Board SCHUMANN, and he will moderate this discussion. So we will wait for our colleagues Felix Scholle, Digital Vault Services GmbH, and Carly Höstermann from Gracher Credit and Surety Broker. So the questions that they will raise is what will be the perspective in terms of the development, transforming the surety bond business. So I can see both on my screen now, and hopefully you can hear us. So here is your stage, and now I hand over to Stefan.
Thank you, Robert, for the kind introduction, and a warm welcome to you, Felix and Carl. Welcome on the panel. The surety and guarantee industry has always been and is still built on trust. To safeguard this trust, the industry has kept to slow, manual and paper-based processes. Over the past years, the industry has literally resisted to the digital transformation. Bonds and guarantees are still today issued on paper with stamp and seal, and market participants have little access to digital or electronic interfaces. But the COVID crisis has been a catalyst to the digitization. The world has learned in private as well as in business life that doing things digitally works. So the need for the transformation has been awakened, and the challenge to the established practices have arisen. The most cumbersome part of the surety business, the issuance of the actual paper-based bond document, is currently being tackled by digital platforms. Felix, could you explain what are these platforms and how do they support the surety business?
Well, yeah, thanks first of all for having me, and let's talk about platforms. So what is a platform? From my perspective, a platform would be a place that facilitates exchange between several parties, in this particular business between applicants, guarantors, maybe a second guarantor, and in the end, the beneficiaries. The aim must be there to make this exchange accessible to basically everyone in the specific market. And here is the able guarantee surety business, and you mentioned it before, trust is an important issue here. Everyone must have confidence in the specific platform, in the services provided, and in the result. And the result would be a guarantee which is acceptable to anyone participating.
Thanks. What do you think? How will platforms evolve in the future? What might be the ultimate benefit that it could bring to the surety industry?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a crystal ball here, but I think that everyone is preferring standardization. Everyone's talking about standardization, and we see corporates and banks and also insurers pushing for standardization to make their lives easier. And I think the role of the platform is to make these interactions possible, to help and to condense the needs of everyone using different systems in one or maybe two platforms. However, the need is standardization, and that platforms, if they have several aspects, one is more for the application side, that they can communicate together, and no matter what you're using, in the end, everyone is communicating with everyone. We see that in retail business already. I think it's overdue to have that here too.
That is a very interesting thought. Maybe from another perspective, Carl, you're as a broker, you're close to the sureties, to the principals, to the beneficiaries alike. With that in mind, what does the market expect from the digital transformation and the platforms in particular?
Yeah, thanks, Stefan, for being part of the conference. I'm very honored to be joined this panel here. Yeah, coming to your question, I believe the market and all participants involved are being ready and really expect some more digitalization in this overall process, which, as you said earlier, is, as of today, mostly handled in paper form with interrupted media usage. And therefore, everyone is expecting, like we do see that in other parts of our daily life as well. If I, for example, think on electronic banking or online banking, which allow me with just one simple application to get access to every bank account I have. So the market, all players, all relevant participations are ready to join in such a platform structure and are willing to use those facilities if they are in place, if they are safe, and if they are easy to access for everyone. I do see a little issue here with the beneficiary. They are quite used to have that document still in paper form. So we do have to do a little bit education here that such a digital stream for your document as a beneficiary is as good as the old paper form. But I see in the upcoming years that this will be the place and this will take place, and therefore I do see a huge demand for those developments which we have on the agenda here today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. The step, especially for the beneficiary, must not be too hard. He must still understand what's going on, and the beneficiary is, as the name already said, the ultimate beneficiary of a instrument and should be also the beneficiary of the platform as well. And it is necessary to access them via platforms. It is a must. If you don't access the beneficiary, then what's the need of a digital guarantee?
We do have the same situation in other business parts. For example, as I mentioned, online banking. If I take my equity shares, these are all in an electronic stream. There's no paper stuff since many years, so everyone is accepted that it's common to everyone. So why don't we push the market and every involved party to this as well? And I think it's only a little education for all parties to finally agree that this could work in that area when it comes to surety bonding or guarantee in Germany as well.
Yeah, we all agree that it's on trust that we build on. But what can we do to extend this trust to the digital world? Is it just pushing, or how do we persuade market participants?
Is it to me?
Sorry.
Felix, no, go ahead, please.
Yeah. There are from our experience, two main issues where trust and confidence is needed. The one is this legally okay what we are doing? And the other is it technically safe what we are doing? These both issues are the main key issues almost everyone has. And if you can solve that, and if you can explain it to anyone, then people are willing and understanding what is going on. And from our experience, of course, it takes time to check the legal feasibility of such platforms. If you once have checked it and you will notice that it's perfectly legal, then the other steps are smaller steps.
Yeah, I do. I fully agree, Felix. From my perspective, we can't push the market. It has to be by convincing all participants that it's a safe, it's a legal, it's a good development. Yeah. It's part of the future, makes things easier, processing in a straight-through process, what is common in other environments with the same level of security as well. So we do need to convince all players, especially the beneficiaries, and really it depends. We do not see every single participant and beneficiary being the first mover, but once after the while the big ones maybe pacing the market, others will follow from my perspective.
Thank you,
by
Carl.
the way, it's our task to instruct and to educate the market and all involved parties to this process. Yeah.
Thanks. You mentioned banks before, who historically have been issuing guarantees. How far have they progressed in the digital transformation? And is there anything that the insurance industry can learn from banks? Felix, maybe you can give us an answer.
Yeah. Originally I am a banker, and we are working together with a lot of banks. And what I can see there is that insurance industry is already more standardized than banks are. Banks are way more individual, at least that's what we are experiencing, than insurance companies are. They have more instruments. They have not only sureties, they have guarantees, they have indirect guarantees, they have standby letters of credit. And when we think further, also regular commercial letters of credit and other instruments. But going back to the AVLs, it is already more individual also with the wordings than most insurers have in their day-to-day business. So the banks are very much looking on the possibility of having everything in there. So it wouldn't help them to have just a platform, for example, for standby letters of credit. There they already have SWIFT, for example. I think there are no universal wordings at banks. It must be that applicants can access with every application they have. If they cannot do that, then banks would tell us, okay, only for a small specific application format, we don't need you, we have our portal.
Felix, I do have a bit of a different view here. First of all, banks, they do use the SWIFT, but SWIFT is not the modern word of communication. You can't put any attachments in. You have to type it all in. This is good as of today, or maybe for last century, but not as of today. We do have to develop all these systems further. And I believe the insurance world has taken a view on it. As we learned from Stefan Herschel this morning in this conference here, they are ready to establish such digital processes, end-to-end processes, and they do have that on their agenda for this year and maybe the next. So I do see the huge companies moving in the right direction from the insurance point of view to make the overall processing much easier, much safer, much faster, less complicated, less person to person. So they do have that in their view, and they do take care of it.
Yeah, true.
That's a very interesting view. Maybe, Carl, you could widen our focus a little bit. What does the global surety scene look like regarding digital transformation? Which country should we look at in terms of best practice?
Well, I do not have an inside view in the different countries, but I believe, for example, in the States, we do have much more electronical correspondence and processes. They're always a little bit ahead of the rest of the world in this area, dealing with a lot of surety bonding in the States, which is huge market behind, which modern, innovative players there. So I believe they are a little bit front, but we should keep up and we should take our own approach, and then we will sooner or later be able to cover that as well. The market is really demanding it, as you said in your opening statement.
Yeah, we see it especially in Northern and Eastern Europe. There's this way more common to have digital documents. In Germany, Austria, many ask us whether we have some kind of legal opinion on what we're doing, whether it is okay. In Northern Europe, barely anyone asks for that because for them it's a given.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe let's look at the role of the broker in the surety business. At first glance, platforms seem to compete with the broker. Will the role of the broker change, Carl? And if so, how?
No, not at all, Stefan. From my perspective, we have been in the business for 20 years, so we have quite some experience with developments here. I see the role as a broker as the same in the past. We do need to help the clients to get their facilities done, to have that in the right place, to have the right volumes, to have the documentation and all that stuff. Here, when we talk about digitalization, it's only about corresponding and processes. It doesn't really mean that the facility itself and all that paper stuff and all that negotiation phase in front of such a facility and before such a facility is in place will be deleted. This is still needed. Therefore, the broker is still there. And maybe we are one of the motors to drive the process here, being the broker, and to convince the parties we see We do not see the beneficiary, of course, but we do have the client as well as the insurance company at the table, and we can push it from here. So I don't see a big change in the broker environment. On the other hand, as I may say, we are, as a broker, developing our own platform, our own electronic processing system for our clients to be used, and therefore being part of this overall process.
Yeah, I think there's always a need for advising, and that brokers will always have their role. And we, as a platform, we try to connect everyone. Broker is part of that ecosystem, as well as the beneficiary is, for us, of course, part of the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And of course, the beneficiary must be able to access this even without having to log in. He has to just receive it, and then it's fine.
Yeah, fully agree, Felix. That's my point of view as well. Mm-hmm.
Good closing line.
Is it? Is it already done?
I'm just seeing the time here, 0000.
Yeah, there's one more aspect to discuss. We do need someone like SCHUMANN to develop the process to provide us with the systems. Yeah, so they are in the game as well.
To make it easier, yes.
Yeah.
So I think that's the conclusion to our panel right now, that it needs all market participants to come together and to shape an ecosystem and platforms so that all the participants are being connected and can work together digitally. Yeah. There's one question coming up from the chat. And maybe it's answered, maybe it's not, but I'd like to hear your opinion. You're both developing platforms. How do these two platforms fit together? What's your view on this?
Well, from our side, I can say a platform is only as good as the participants and as its openness, because we understand a platform to be open to anyone. We, for example, provide API documentation for all sides, which may connect to us. Vice versa, we also are able to connect to other APIs. And if you have a platform, for example, on the applicant side, where clients can use their system and can apply for guarantees, sureties, whatever, these applications established in this one platform, in an ideal world, it's just an API between, and we see is exactly the same and can provide it to the guarantors linked with us, and they do what they need to do. They establish a guarantee or a surety, and vice versa. We mirror that back to the outgoing, the first platform. So platforms interconnect.
Yeah, and for us and our clients, it's not only an application kind of process system, but it's a management tool as well. So we do have the overall picture, what's out there, what has to be returned, what kind of facility do I have, how much freedom I have, and volume I do have. So this is a full service management tool for the client of us to manage overall facilities, not only with one insurance company, but with every insurance company, plus every bank and every surety provider worldwide on an web access and 24/7. So he has really a good tool for reportings and for whatever kind of needs he may have regarding his surety bonding issue. Yeah.
Right. So we don't care which system you're using. Use theirs, use ours. We don't care.
Yeah. They're all connected to each other.
Felix, Karl, thank you very much for these insights. Summing up, let me say that the outlook of the digital transformation of surety bonding is definitely positive. I'm happy that you are part of the journey, and I'm really looking forward to continuing that.
Thanks a lot, Stefan.
Thank you.
Our pleasure to be in the conference. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Have a good one.
So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Stefan. Thank you very much, the participants of the discussion. So I think what I wrote down immediately while discussing is that there is a spirit to overcome silo thinking. So it's about interconnection, interoperability, to communicate. Stefan, maybe Could you give us a flavor? We have this conference here to interconnect and have communication. Are there any other groups maybe for the insurance and surety bond team groups where we are handling to communicate? Are there any other platforms?
Well, there are many platforms, and what makes this conference so unique is that there is not only participants from the credit and insurance industry, but there's also participants from the financial services industry, as well as from industry, manufacturing, and trade businesses. And the process of surety spans all these businesses, so that's why I think this is the very good venture to come together.
Yeah, fantastic. I think that's a great conclusion. So thank you very much.